How you doing, YouTube? Welcome, everybody, to the Riggsbeast Wrestling Podcast, week in review. So sit back, relax, maybe even grab a drink, and let's have some fun together, shall we? So, interesting week this week. We started with NXT Takeover San Antonio on Saturday, Royal Rumble Sunday, of course, Raw on Monday, Smackdown Tuesday, NXT Wednesday. Getting the gist here. Way too much product. My God. Royal Rumble and NXT Takeover have been reviewed extensively by many others. So what we're going to do here is just a very simple gloss over. NXT TakeOver San Antonio was a good show. Not a great show, but a good show. Eric Young, Ty Dillinger. Had to know going in Eric Young was going to win. And he does with his signature neckbreaker. Love that move. Loved it in TNA. Love it today. Kind of enjoyed Sanity. Not great yet on really what they are, but do enjoy what they're doing so far. Next match after that, Roderick Strong, Mr. ROH, and Andrade Cien Almas. Ever since he took the mask off and became Magic Mike, he's getting a little better. Still can't really get behind him all that much, but not bad. So here, I thought Almas was going to win. I thought he needed the win. Thought it would have helped him, but they give it to Strong in a physical fucking match. Those two boys beat the shit out of each other. Then next up with TakeOver was DIY versus the Authors of Pain. Tremendous tag title match. Can't say enough good about it. Not quite as good as the Revival DIY match, but that was a match of the year candidate. Not much is going to be good as that. Great match with, like I said, with AOP. AOP comes out on top. New tag champs. Really thought DIY was going to take that. Thought at least go to Orlando with it. But not in the cards. And what it seems to be is coming up is they're probably going to have a triple threat tag match. Looks like AOP, Revival, and DIY. They've never done a triple tag title match in NXT. It's something new for them to go to and market around Orlando. So that's where I believe that's going to go, and it would make sense. I would pick AOP to win that match. We'll see what kind of goes along with that's what I would think, because I believe that the Revival is real close to getting called up. And boy, oh boy, does either brand on the main roster need a tag team. My God. So we'll move on. The women's match here, not very good. It was passable, but you kind of knew going in. They just kind of pieced this together. And all I'm going to say about it is Asuka won. That's it. No more. I'm not even going over the spots. Like I said, the match was just there to be there. The main event, though, is really what this card was built around. More of the entrances than the actual match in my eyes, but Bobby Roode, the glorious one, versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Two of my favorites, probably two of most people's favorites, to be honest. And really, for what Bobby Roode is as a wrestler and what Nakamura is as a wrestler, can't complain about this match. It was quality both ways around. Nakamura sold the knee injury from hitting it on the apron when doing a Kinshasa. And Bobby Roode attacks it. You had Albert coming out, trying to really drive home to the fans that, oh my God, Nakamura's hurt. Nakamura's hurt. Bobby Roode takes it, puts him in a single Boston Crab, tries to pound on the leg. Eventually hits him with his finisher and wins the match. And your new NXT World Champion, Bobby Roode. I didn't know which way to go on that one, and quite frankly, I don't think a lot of people did either. I know there were some people who were dead set on Nakamura, but when you really looked at it, Bobby Roode couldn't afford the loss, and Nakamura had already done it. Now, some people think that this means that Nakamura is heading up to the main roster. And since my NXT review is going to be very, very brief, and I mean brief as I'm going to do it right now, basically since it was taped before the live event, the only real two things that are of importance here is the nice piece that they did for Corey Graves and Cassius Ohno basically making it known he's going after the title. So that's it. There's your NXT review. But again, this does not mean Nakamura is going to the main roster. And quite frankly, I don't think he should. You're not going to go with unfinished business. A guy, you hurt your knee and then a guy tries to take you out. You don't just leave that and not revisit it. So chances are Nakamura's out. He's not at the tapings until March, but chances are he comes back and finishes at least one more match in NXT Orlando. Do not be surprised if he lasts into the summer in NXT. Let's just say, I believe he's got one more title match, probably against Bobby Roode, and then at that point, then you could start looking for Nakamura on the main roster. So we're going to go to the Royal Rumble. Again, not spending too much time on it because it's been reviewed extensively. In this one, I mean, you could call it controversial. I don't. There was a huge troll moment. We'll get into that. And I mean, a huge troll moment. Kind of got me a little laugh there. But we'll go over it real quick. Bayley, Charlotte, decent match, not great. Charlotte wins as expected. Bayley's got a chase. That's her perfect role. Most likely win at WrestleMania, but you can't take it away from WWE to possibly let Charlotte continue with the belt. Chances are that's what happens, though, and it seems to be like it might be a fatal four-way there, but I don't know. I have to see more. I'm not sold really on there being a fatal four-way, and then including Nia Jax, and not sold. I think those two be better off in a singles. You have Bayley get into a quick rivalry with Nia Jax. You'll see more why after the Raw review. And have Bayley beat Nia Jax, go back into the program with Charlotte. You can continue it there. And then you have Bayley go over Charlotte at WrestleMania. Give the fans their moment. And let people enjoy Bayley winning the title. So we move on to the second match, which was Universal Championship match. Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, everybody's favorite wrestler, am I right? Part of the troll job later on. But very physical match, great spots, especially the frog splash off. Kevin Owens came off the top rope and hits him on the upper part of the table, even with these stunt tables. That's a very dangerous spot, amongst other things. But Roman Reigns, he did Roman Reigns things. Kicks out of his own finisher, the Superman punch with Nux, pop-up powerbomb, that frog splash. I mean, they booked the man like Superman, and it's part of the reason, well, a lot of the reason, why the fans cannot stand him. But Braun Strowman on Sunday became a national WWE treasure by costing Roman Reigns coming in and giving him his power slam through a table that was set up in the corner. Kevin Owens, 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens retains the Universal Championship. Thank goodness for Braun Strowman. So the third match on this card was the Cruiserweight Championship. You had Neville and Rich Swann. It was actually a very good match, but the crowd was just not into it. Crowd hasn't been into really any of these matches. WWE has no one to blame but themselves. They basically treated the Cruiserweights like a piss break like they did with the Divas. And it's showing that way. Even 205 Live, having it after Smackdown, it's the same thing. It's just a glorified piss break for an hour. I don't know why the fans would stay. They don't treat it like anything. Which, if you want to get something over, is counterintuitive to what you do. But anyway, getting away from that rant. Neville wins the match. Again, quality match. New Cruiserweight champion. And that man's going to hold it a while. There's been many things about who's going to come in or, a one-off deal. I'm not even going to name the names or get into it because right now there's no point to it. And quite frankly, they are building up a guy. And we'll get into that. That's another name for another day. Let's just say he was eliminated in the Royal Rumble, Mary Poppins style. So the match before the Rumble, Probably the match of the night. Not probably, it is the match of the night. Cena and Styles. Tremendous match. Can't take anything away from it. Main problem, and this has been an issue in WWE now for well over 10 years. And this is the finishing kickout. Now, once in a while in big shows, even like tonight, wouldn't have been a problem. But now it's getting to the point where a guy's going to have to bring a gun out in the ring and shoot a guy. I mean, that's basically the only way. It took, 4 AAs? A super one up the middle rope. That didn't even do it. AJ Styles hit his Styles Clash twice, and I think 2, if I'm not mistaken, of his phenomenal forearms. I mean, yeah, at some point they're going to literally have to bring a gun out to the ring and shoot the guy in the stomach. That's the only way to get a 3 count. It's coming up soon. PG for you. But, again, can't take away from the match. All the way around, 5-star, tremendous match. But Cena gets number 16 in really what is a made-up stat. I mean, a lot of internet people are going to hate it. It doesn't bother me. Mainly, like I said, it's a made-up stat. Ric Flair even claims there's a 17th. If you listen to him, that 17th unofficial. So, who cares? But it's a good selling point for Cena. And wait, within a year, he'll have 17. So, like I said, we're going to leave that there. Royal Rumble. Again, the only real thing I'm covering here is the number 30 spot. When he came out, when number 30 comes down, and you're 3, 2, 1, and you're getting ready, and you're thinking, like me, Samoa Joe, or Finn Balor, or Rey Mysterio, or RVD, or anybody on that roster, if you thought Roman Reigns, congratulations, you win the prize. But instead of his Titantron, or where it says Reigns, or whatever it says for him, because I never look at that, it should have just had the troll face and lull right next to it, because that's what that was, and it was hilarious. That brought down the mood of the Rumble amazingly. It was incredible how the crowd was into it. Everything was great. You come to 30 and that crowd just turned. WWE has a knack for doing this, and it's featuring Roman Reigns. But now people believe Roman was there for the sole purpose of being in there to get Orton over. That if Orton won, the crowd was going to revolt. And that to me is bullshit. The reason that's bullshit is I don't think the crowd would have revolted if Orton won. It would have been kind of like a meh. Okay. But really, all they could have done, and this goes more into, I'm going to talk about this more in the Smackdown portion of it, but they could have just had Bray Wyatt win. Problem solved. It's just getting to the same point. So really the reason he was there is that moment with The Undertaker, which I want to talk about after I get through Raw and SmackDown. Why Roman and The Undertaker could work tremendously, and that is probably one of the worst things to talk about on the internet is anything positive with Roman Reigns, because he is a hated man. But that match could work well. So like I said, the only reason he was there was really to get that visual with The Undertaker so they can use it in one of their video packages leading up to the match. But Randy Orton does go on to win the Rumble. I would love to sit here and say that I called Randy before the rumors and have everybody believe me, but that is impossible. So all I'm going to say is I called Randy Orton winning the Rumble. And no, I didn't see the rumors. But the main point here is Randy makes sense to win. Once we get through SmackDown again, we'll go more into it. But Randy's going to make sense here. And it's fine. I might have preferred Bray to win, but if the heel's chasing the title, which might be a giveaway for what I'm going to talk about, then doesn't make real sense, even though the people love Bray. And the other thing that I've heard is a little bit of complaining about maybe AJ Styles not being the champ going into Mania, or wanting AJ and Randy. And it's funny because a lot of these same people, about a year ago, maybe not even a year ago, were going up and down batshit crazy about how Bray's not being pushed correctly. And to me, this is all about Bray. This is all about Bray getting that main event push he finally deserves. And when that happens, hopefully they come back around and realize that. But for now, with the Styles loss and Randy winning the Rumble, some people are upset. All I say is relax. Just relax. So now we're going to get into Monday Night Raw. And again, Monday Night Raw has been looked over and talked about for almost the entire week. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Just kind of go over some cliff notes and kind of give my thoughts. The opening segment, Owens Jericho, when they came out, I liked Owens' intensity at the beginning. It kind of gave you that old view of what he used to be. And then that went away after about 2 minutes, starting to thank Chris Jericho and got into kind of a whining mode. And then Jericho, which even his act is getting a little stale, but it's still just Jericho, and he's still got that ability to be funny. The 61-minute man. God, I want to say that one more time. The 61-minute man. He's not the Iron Man. He's the Iron Man plus 60. I love it. I fucking love it. But even though he basically slept for half the match, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. He's over 40 years old. You want the man to go 61 minutes? Not sleeping for half the match? He'd be dead. So anyway, this went on a little too long before somebody came out. 7 minutes in, it got a little redundant. But then you had, of all people, Braun Strowman. And Braun Strowman pulled up a video from a month ago. Good on WWE for not treating their fans like morons all the time. Appreciate that. Where basically Owens says, you're the next in line after I beat Roman. You're the next in line. I'll give you the first shot. So Braun called him out on it. Said I wanted the first shot. And then Owens went back to whining and crying. But as prize fighter on his shorts, I hate the way they're booking him. And I'm not going to lie. I am a bit of an Owens mark. But hate the way they're booking him. So they set up the title match. Does Mick Foley when he comes out. Miserable Raw GM. I'm counting down the days until he gets his hip surgery and is probably done being Raw GM. But maybe that means more Stephanie, and in that case, please keep Foley. But they set up 2 matches. You have Owens and Strowman later, but you start with Zayn and Jericho. And Zayn and Jericho after the break was a better match than what they had at the pay-per-view they wrestled at. Good match. Now, Laredo was dead for it, but Laredo was dead for pretty much everything. The arena looked like it fit 6,000 people. It didn't even look like a good NXT crowd. But Raw sometimes does these shows, and, well, they sound like they look like shit. So anyway, again, quality match between the two. Zayn gets a win. So most likely what this means is Zayn and Jericho are going to go back into a rivalry and probably have a title match at Fastlane, beginning of March. We'll have to see where that goes, but kind of have a feeling Jericho might lose that belt. Don't think Owens and Jericho, if they do wrestle, which I think they will, would have a title on the line. I think this one might go to Sami Zayn. But we'll see. You never know. So after that, you get to things I'm not even going to go into much. You had Cesaro and Sheamus arguing over the Rumble. Sheamus going, you were going to swing me, and blah, 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 bullshit. Eventually what you have here is the club, the new tag team champions. I forgot to mention that with the Rumble portion not going over the pre-show. Unfortunately, that's how much you care about the club winning the tag titles. It's about 6 months too late. WWE has a good, and I say good in a negative way, of waiting too long to do things. See Bray Wyatt, see the club winning the tag team titles. You just don't care. Even when they won, did you really care? Were you even watching? That's the real question. So all this is to set up Charlotte and Bayley, Charlotte with the champs, Bayley with Cesaro and Sheamus in a 6-person intergender tag team match. You knew going into it, the main point of that match was for Bayley to get her win back on Charlotte, again to continue the feud, so they can eventually get, in my eyes, to Mania. So after that, you get Tony Nese and Mustafa Ali. The match lasted under 5 minutes. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody cared. It's sad. It's really sad. They had an amazing tournament, and this is what they did with it. Now, it could change. It's not a completely dead gimmick yet, but it's definitely heading towards being dead very quickly. To be honest, nobody gives a fuck. Even on TV, it just sounds and treats like a piss break. You barely want to watch it. The only thing good about this, to be honest, was Austin Aries trying to interview Nice and basically putting down his personality. But now we get to the first Seth Rollins portion of this show. Stephanie and Seth in the ring, and Stephanie's being typical Stephanie, kind of annoying. Seth does good here. See, this is one of those times where a rivalry needed a personal touch. It couldn't just be about being screwed over for the title. It couldn't be. It waited too long. Nobody would have really cared. It would have been, why didn't you start this the day after you were screwed? But they didn't. Seth talked about it, but mainly then when he went to talking about going to corporate offices and board meetings, but really I think got people interested was when he said, what if I come to your house and one of your kids answers the door? See, that's a good one. That gets you intrigued. That brings real life into a storyline. Now, there's people that are going to say, why isn't this done all the time? Why isn't this done in more feuds so we can get more feuds like this? Because if it's done all the time, it's going to wind up like the kick-out finisher, where you're just doing it all the time, then nobody gives a fuck. It was one of the things that hurt WCW after a while, is eventually they started making up shit. So, you do it in rare times with the right people, you get good things. This was going to be a good thing. See later as to why it's probably not going to be anymore. But at this point, Stephanie did say, at first she goes, Triple H is not there. But then towards the end of it, Stephanie says, no, I lied. He's coming. So you knew you were getting that right towards the end of it. You knew that was going to be the last segment of the night. They went into the Universal Championship match. Nothing of record here. You absolutely knew that Roman Reigns was coming out to the seventh. The loudest they got all night was to boo Roman Reigns. I mean, they couldn't get this crowd with basically anything. Even a debut, they couldn't get this crowd with. But Roman Reigns, fuck that dude. They got him. I can't. It's hilarious. They've done this to themselves with Roman. They have absolutely done this to themselves. And I mean, they have fucked this up for years. And it's different than the Cena fuck up, because the Cena fuck up, to be honest with you, I don't even think it was a fuck up. I think it was a predetermined plan to get this man in front of people and over as much as possible, even if it meant most of the crowd booing him, because he was pushing merch and the kids loved him. Roman, different ballgame. Nobody, except for when he was in the Shield and quiet, ever even cheered him. They haven't been cheering this dude. The only time they cheered him after that was the Royal Rumble in 2014, because they didn't want Batista. Only problem is, I think that screwed everybody up, because I think Vince heard that and said, well, they want him. Nope. But anyway, Roman comes out, attacks Braun Strowman. You could see that match coming down the pike. Fast lane. Braun's there to set up Roman to face the Undertaker. He could beat a big man. That's all that's for. But then Roman spears Owens, again, he gets booed for that too. Roman, he needs to turn heel. And he needs to turn heel, not in the way that everybody pretty much on the roster is a heel now, because he'll just get no reaction at that point, or he'll still get booed, but for the wrong reason. What they need to do is they need to turn Roman Reigns into that vicious, vile, I hate people heel. And that could be done. And we're going to talk about that in News of the Week. So after that, we go into Brock coming out of an SUV, which means that you're going to have Paul Heyman talking, which is great. And Paul basically challenges Goldberg to the match at WrestleMania. And the big thing here is, yeah, but. And again, very simple, but it's almost like saying the what if. You have a great champion. You have the New England Patriots. We'll use them as an example. New England Patriots, Tom Brady's in his 7th Super Bowl. 7th, I believe. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, but the AFC East has been pitiful most of the time. Deflated footballs, Spygate. you have these problems. And he has a yeah button. It's one of the worst things you can do in athletics. So it really pushes that home, that yeah, but. Again, great storytelling, simple. Even though I don't know a lot of people who could give two flying fucks about seeing Goldberg and Lesnar again. They're 0 for 2 in matches. Even though at least the second one, the minute and a half, was supposed to go that way. My God, who wants to see them go longer than 5 minutes? And if that's going to be your WrestleMania main event and potentially for the title, God, no. Please, no. Why? Just why? You'll have people booing out of WrestleMania in my eyes. But you never know. They can pull a rabbit out of the hat. So, Sasha, Nia Jax, only thing I'm going to talk about this match, it was a squash, but Sasha before it, essentially talking to Bayley, and Bayley goes, you don't have to wrestle. Sasha goes, yes, I do. And this was the beginning of her heel turn. It was a dig at Bayley and all, basically everybody is, I can't be like that. I can't settle for second. And that's the beginning of the Sasha Banks heel turn back into that boss character she had in NXT, which is sorely needed because right now, Sasha, who gives a fuck? I mean, really, she was in a rivalry with Charlotte for God knows, 7 months? And the title changed hands 4 times? Sasha got all the Raw matches and Charlotte got all the pay-per-view matches. Again, who gives a fuck? There was a Rusev and Jinder steroids Mahal. That man gets bigger every fucking week. He's going to look like that guy, that meme that you see on the ads on some of your websites. He's like big and bulked out. He's fucking ridiculous looking. He's going to look like that guy soon. Fucking ridiculous. I'm surprised his gimmick should be with needles coming out of him. It really should. Just make fun of it. Versus Enzo and Cass. Enzo and Cass wins. Move on. So, the Triple H Seth Rollins segment. Interesting segment here. So Triple H comes out. Just to sum it up, basically, the reason they seem to turn on, blames all of this on the knee injury. He couldn't handle the pressure. He couldn't handle being the guy. Good stuff. Triple H is good on the mic when he wants to be. He's a quality promo when he wants to be. And you could tell he wanted to be for this. Calls out Seth. Seth comes out. This is where Laredo gets Samoa Joe. They get the debut of Samoa Joe. And nobody fucking reacted. It was fucking silence. And it was great storytelling too. Because they've been hinting at the Destroyer. When Seth Rollins was at NXT. Even at that Facebook Live after, when Triple H had mentioned that he came to challenge the Creator, but the Destroyer isn't far behind. He's been hinting at this. And I believe I forgot to mention the Seth Rollins portion of TakeOver in the quick review. Again, I was just breezing over, but Seth Rollins showed up, got the crowd hyped as all hell. It was really unexpected. I think was the better way than doing it at the Rumble to push this rivalry. Moving on, though. So Samoa Joe puts him in a Kajina clutch. But as he's going down with it, the knee buckles. You find out this week that Seth Rollins is going to be out at least 6 to 8 weeks at an MCL tear, from what I believe. It's 6 to 8. I've heard 4 to 6. Might be somewhere in the middle, but chances are that Mania match is off. It's going to be, even if it's at the 6-week mark, you're only looking at 3 weeks before Mania. Now, it wasn't the ACL again, but that knee getting injured again, they might not risk it. We'll have to see how it goes. My thinking, Seth Rollins was getting less aerial anyway because they had to take care of the knee. They were getting him more ground-based. If that knee is stable after 4, which they can do stress tests at that time and then determine if it's at least healing right and stable, if that knee is showing good stability at 4 weeks, they're going to keep the match. If it's not showing the stability at 4 weeks, the match is off. Really, if Triple H can't wrestle Seth Rollins, to be honest with you, keep him off the card. There's no point in forcing a rivalry with Triple H just to have the guy on the event. He's going to be in the mid-card and most likely a match nobody would care about. The only real storyline that you can use with him to where it makes any sense at all is honestly Shane McMahon or Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn is just, they have booked him poorly to the point where he's not there. And chances are he's going to be involved in either a U.S. title, or if he doesn't win that, honestly, probably the Battle Royal. I don't see them doing Zayn versus Triple H at all. It could make sense, but I don't think Zayn's even at that level to do it, which is unfortunate because he has the talent to. The Shane McMahon thing, nobody want to see the match. Get me wrong, nobody want to see that match. But the storyline is there, again, from a realism point of view, and would be interesting. But the issue is, would Shane use a surrogate? And that would never happen. Shane is too much and too branded into people as a daredevil to ever use a surrogate to fight somebody, especially a personal rivalry like that. So chances are they're going to pull something out of their ass. I mean, you've read things about Samoa Joe, which would make zero sense. Like I said, really the only other one that makes sense is Sami Zayn, and I just don't think he's there. But I would endorse the Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn could stick up for his friend. Sami Zayn could watch Samoa Joe over the next several weeks, attack people, and just say, I can't take this anymore, come out to save somebody. And then Samoa Joe viciously attacks Sami Zayn in his match that he has with Jericho at the pay-per-view. That way you get the pay-per-view match for Zayn and Jericho. Samoa Joe interferes. They can have a match on Raw. Joe can win that match. Honestly, Joe didn't have the match, he didn't have to go to finish. Joe can demolish him. And Triple H can say, fine, you want to take me on? Do it. And you can have Sami Zayn and Triple H, which is an interesting match. But again, I don't think enough people would get behind it because of how they've used Zayn. Just the unfortunate part. So that's Raw. Nothing else happened. Like I said, the show, Raw has been fucking boring for the most part. And they don't really have good hooks for the next week, which I'm going to get into Smackdown-wise. They always have a nice hook. Something to always bring you in next week. Like, hey, we have X, Y, and Z, or we have this match, or we have that match. The big thing for next week for Raw is Goldberg's going to be there. Fantastic. Hooray for Goldberg. If everything is going as being rumored, Goldberg's going to challenge Kevin Owens for the world title. We'll see what happens next week, so I'll talk about that more then, but we'll just wait and see. I don't even want to talk about the thought of Goldberg and Lesnar being for the Universal title. Just don't. Just don't. We're going to move on. So, SmackDown kicked off, and now the thing that frustrates, I don't want to say frustrates. The thing that has got to be frustrating for the creative over at SmackDown is you have two shows. Two shows to book a pay-per-view. What the fuck were they thinking on that one? Can you at least give it 3, 4? Just something to develop. I mean, basically this thing is built around a title match that you just had a title match 2 weeks prior. And Nikki Bella and Natalya. That's it. That's all this thing's going to be built around. You're going to have, I mean, I'll tell you now, you're going to have Dolph Ziggler and Apollo Crews. You're going to have Nikki Bella and you're going to have Natalya. You're going to have the Elimination Chamber. You're going to have Tag Team Turmoil, which we'll get into, clusterfuck. And you're probably going to have Alexa Bliss versus Naomi. I don't think you get Mickie James and Becky Lynch here. I think they saved that for a SmackDown match. They may, but I don't think. Normally they stick to 5, and they kind of treat these like NXT events. So anyway, SmackDown opens up, and AJ Styles is talking with Shane and Daniel, wanting to get a one-on-one rematch. And they don't give it to him. They put him in the chamber. Hinting towards Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles in disrespect. But the 6 men in the chamber, a little surprising. A little surprising. You have Cena, Styles, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, Dean Ambrose, and The Miz. I didn't expect The Miz here. I kind of thought they would put Ziggler in, but getting that second match, I understand why they didn't. Miz really didn't have anything. His only feud has kind of been with Dean Ambrose. So it kind of makes sense. Just a little surprising Ziggler wasn't in there. Kind of because I've been hoping for a Ziggler-Cena feud for years, centered around Nikki Bella, so that was probably a little selfish of me hoping that would happen. Not going to happen. Especially now, if he's not there, they're not going to set this up over time through SmackDowns. Just don't know where Ziggler's going. His heel turn was great, but hopefully he's not directionless. So then Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton are going to come out during a Cena promo. And this Cena promo is typical Cena. If you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times after a big title match win. It's nauseating. So this is troll moment number 2 of the week. You get Bray Wyatt talking about the vicious cycle with Cena, and it always comes back around. And he's right. It does. 16 times. But the troll moment here, and all of that made sense with Bray talking about he's going to win the title, which, by the way, this is the first time that Bray Wyatt's even going to have a proper title match. 6 people, but still proper for him. The only other time Bray Wyatt ever even had a title match was in last year's Royal Rumble. That is hard to believe, but true. But here we get to the troll moment. Randy Orton also mentions the vicious cycle and how the Wyatt family and him are going to stop the vicious cycle. Troll moment and lesson time for everybody. 2006, I believe. No, maybe it was 2007. Randy Orton and John Cena fought, I believe, twice for the WWE Championship. That's 10 years ago, folks. 10. Now, Randy Orton and John Cena are not going to fight at this year's WrestleMania. It's not going to happen. But for them to talk about the vicious cycle and Randy Orton fighting John Cena to end it, that is fucking hilarious. I laughed for about a good 5 minutes after hearing that. I couldn't get over it. They even set up the tag match. When the lights go out again, they were going to come and attack, and Luke Harper stood by the side of John Cena. I couldn't take it seriously because I kept thinking about Randy Orton versus John Cena to end a vicious cycle with John Cena being the champion. It was just fucking hilarious. I still can't get over it now. Whoever wrote that, they had to get a chuckle. They knew what they were doing. But as mentioned, there was a tag match set up. Luke Harper couldn't really fight in the match. Bray still has a spell over him in storyline, of course. It's done well. And it looked like towards the end he was gonna Sister Abigail Bray, and then he couldn't do it, and then he went after Orton, and then Bray Sister Abigail's Luke Harper. The match ends with Randy Orton pinning John Cena. Now, later in the night, they're going to set up for next week, again, where I like the hooks that they try to do for the following week. They're going to have John Cena versus Randy Orton one-on-one. This is also Wrestling 101 right here. If you're going to book John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, you're not going to have them fight in February in a match on SmackDown one-on-one. You're not going to do it. So for everybody who's freaking out about the thought of John Cena versus Randy Orton for the 27,000th time, relax. It ain't going to happen. But if it does happen, good Lord, no. But it ain't going to happen. Hopefully. All right. No, it ain't going to happen. Everybody needs to relax. So, we follow up with apparently the new hype master of the WWE, James Ellsworth. You know, I feel sorry for people from New Jersey because the WWE thinks you are tiger skin shirt wearing, gold chain having fucking assholes. That's what they think everybody from New Jersey is, apparently. So I'm sorry for that. Even though Staten Island is the Carmella thing, I'm calling it New Jersey because I'm from Long Island. And the New York joke is that New Jersey is New York's trash. So I'm calling it New Jersey because I refuse to believe Staten Island. I refuse to believe it. I won't do it. Fuck New Jersey. I'm just joking. Love all you from New Jersey. Click the subscribe button and like this video if you're from New Jersey. No, seriously, fuck you. No. Nah. You're good. Just click that subscribe button and like. Anyway. So in this match, all it really is, you have Carmella, who is escorted by James Ellsworth. By the way, I don't think I've ever seen a male be a valet for a female. I don't think it's ever been done. If it has been, tell me in the comment section how dumb I am. I don't think it's ever been done, though. So, he walks Carmella to the ring in tiger skin shirt and gold chain versus the blue meanie Supergirl. Honestly, it looked like Asuka threw up an American female. That's exactly what she looked like. Just imagine that picture. That's what it is with tattoos. The match, I'm not even going to talk about the match. Except for the fact that the blue meanie Supergirl actually got offense and looking like she was booked to win. Of course, James Ellsworth trips up blue meanie Supergirl for Carmella to win. God, I hope this ends soon. I can't. The idea that Carmella would need help to beat blue meanie Supergirl or random blue girl, it just makes no fucking sense. None. Kalisto versus Ziggler, third time in 4 weeks. Don't care. Quick match. Ziggler wins. Ziggler's going to go to beat him up with a chair again. Apollo Crews comes running out. You're getting Ziggler and Apollo Crews at Elimination Chamber. They need to get matches quick. That's all the show really was. Let's go, go, go. Let's get matches. Let's get matches. So in the back, they set up Becky and Naomi do an interview. Becky's getting better. Naomi, not so much. Versus Mickey and Alexa in a tag match. Again, just to set up pay-per-view match. Naomi gets the pin here on Alexa in the tag match. Pinning the champion in a tag match is fine. It's when they get pinned in single matches, similar to what Zayn did to Jericho. Got to admit it on Raw. I'm not a huge fan of that. Especially what they do to Owens on a consistent basis. But you're getting Naomi versus Alexa. I don't think it's been announced yet, but that's what you're getting. So we're going to move on to American Alpha, which hadn't been on the show in a month. Great tag division. And American Alpha is a hell of a fucking team. They even pointed this out. We have no competition. Nobody's challenged us in a month. So we're going to start the tag team open challenge. And I fucking marked out for this. I ain't even going to lie. I thought this was going to be the return of the open challenge. They got me. I was excited. Because I thought this would have been a great opportunity, number one, to get tag team matches every week. Number two, really show off how dominant American Alpha is, really build them as a team, even more than they already are. And eventually you can have a tag team return. You can have a call-up. You could even had a surprise trade of a tag team for Raw. There's many things you could have did here. I was stoked about this. WWE killed my tag team erection in about 5 minutes. It became, every tag team came out, and it became just a giant clusterfuck, a huge sausage fest of sweaty men fake punching each other. So it ends up, the last two teams who stare down each other are Slater and Rhino and American Alpha. Great. And then you announce you're getting a tag team turmoil match at Elimination Chamber. Great. Can't wait for that one. By the way, when did the Usos become the thugs from the West Side Story? Good God. They look like GTA characters. It's fucking ridiculous. Tone it down a little bit. I like the heel turn, but now they're just becoming a fucking parody. Poor bastards. Maybe that's why they won't turn Roman Reigns heel, because they're afraid to wind up like that. So anyway, you get a quick recap after that of Nikki and Natalya. They're in the back. You know, Daniel Bryan brings them both in. Natalya has security, which I kind of chuckled about. It was rather funny. And this is where they set up Nikki versus Natalya. Makes sense. It's been a good feud. I can't even lie. It's been enjoyable. Nikki will win the match, and we get to move on. The final match, again, AJ and Dean, it's a good match. They've put on good matches before. This one, no exception. I could not get into it for one specific reason. There were 7 people at the announce desk. 7. And they showed it over and over and over and over again. How can you get into it? 7 people. 7. You don't even need fucking 4. You don't even need 3. They had 7. Now, yes, Maurice didn't talk, and most of it was done by Miz and some by Corbin, who came out mid-match. But still, the visual of 7 people at the announce desk. God damn. Again, I just kept laughing at that. And maybe that's me, but I just couldn't stop laughing at 7 people. And I'm going to keep saying it, probably for the 7th time. 7 people at the announce desk. Good fucking God. But anyway, Miz tries to get away from Corbin, who Corbin got tired of Miz's shit talking. Love what The Miz is lately. Really, basically invigorated his character and his career since this brand split. Miz gets in the ring, which distracts the referee after Ambrose hits Dirty D's on Styles. Ambrose gets mad, attacks both Corbin and Miz on the outside. He comes back into a Styles clash. Styles 1, 2, 3. Then Miz comes in, skull crushing finale to Dean. Then Corbin comes in and end of days, and even Dean gets an end of days. And that's how the show goes off the air. So your hook for next week, like I said, is John Cena, Randy Orton. Again, I just like you get a match with a combined somewhere in the area of 27, 28 title reigns. And that's a good match. I don't mind that match, especially on a Smackdown on a television network show. It just better not happen at WrestleMania. But it's a good match, a good hook, and honestly, it's a great match to have the week before Elimination Chamber, because you know you're going to get a Bray Wyatt interference. What are they going to do with the Wyatt family, which is one of the best storylines going? And I just enjoy that aspect of SmackDown more, even though this episode and next episode too is going to feel rushed because they have 2 episodes to set up a pay-per-view. So you're going to take the quality down just to make sure you get enough to go to that pay-per-view. Really, they could have pushed this back. They could have pushed everything back at least, at minimum, 1 to 2 weeks. So the last thing I want to get into today is Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker rumor for WrestleMania. And quite frankly, after they had that stare down at the Royal Rumble where it looked like they were setting up video editing with the stare down and what they did, and even the mumbling of, you're in my yard. That's where they're going. I hate to burst people's bubble, but that's where they're going. Now, it's becoming the Easter egg of WWE to find the Roman Reigns heel turn. And is it needed? Sure. Is it probably going to happen? No. I don't understand why, but if there was a time to set up a heel turn for Roman Reigns, facing The Undertaker would be it. Now, I bring the reason back to this. If you remember CM Punk talking about facing The Undertaker and talking about it with Vince McMahon, he mentioned that Vince believed that after wrestling The Undertaker and losing, that CM Punk was going to be the most hated guy in the company. I believe they may be thinking the same thing here. Now, he already is the most hated man of the company, but for not the right reasons. But what I believe they can do with Roman is have him in a very physical match cheat and just beat The Undertaker down, and towards this match, just have it as if he doesn't care. He's getting pleasure out of the hate from the fans as he beats on Taker and beats on Taker and beats on Taker. I wouldn't have Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. Unless this is The Undertaker's last WrestleMania, which I believe next year is. They're going back to New Orleans, and The Undertaker being a part of that press conference, my view is that's not going to be his last one this year. If it is, I hate to say this, I would have Roman beat him. Which then you better make him a heel. But if you have Roman go into this match with The Undertaker and he just starts slowly, I don't want to say embracing the hate because that's the old Cena heel line that everybody talked about. Embrace the hate. Embrace the hate. They made a fucking storyline about it before his match with The Rock at 29. Embrace the hate and get the fuck out of here. But what you could slowly start to see Roman doing is not pandering, just giving people a look and a kind of death glare, and that's it. Less talking, just more death glares. You get into the match, like I said before, cheats to win, or tries to cheat to win, just uses every extreme measure possible that gets the fans to hate him, and he loses. But he comes out on Raw the night after and basically doesn't even talk about the match with The Undertaker, just acknowledges it. Yeah, I lost. And I lost because of you. I lost because you have this hate of me. Well, I hate you. I hate you more than you could possibly imagine because you've ruined my career. I tried hard for you, and I lost match after match I lost multiple Royal Rumbles. I lost my title by not even getting pinned at WrestleMania 31. You cheered. I finally beat Triple H, who put me through hell. You booed. I lose to Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. You cheer. I come back. I fight all the villains. You boo. You push this storyline and basically have Roman revolt. Revolt against the fans. Play it up. Admit it. What it will allow you to do at that point is book Roman freely. No more trying to push him in feuds to attempt to get him over. And this is the biggest one of them all. Using the being in the ring with the Undertaker gets you over in itself card. Because that's what it is. Stop. At this point, with Roman, you have to see what the fans are doing. Understand what the fans are doing. And give them what they want. But don't give them exactly what they want. I would have Roman become a heel after losing to The Undertaker at WrestleMania, similar to what they wanted to do with Punk. It can work. And after that, to be honest, I'd have him start winning everything. You have him start winning everything, and every time he wins, he mentions you hate it because you're not me, because you hate me, then I hate you, and quite frankly, I'm just going to keep winning and enjoy seeing your life miserable because this is all you have. Just know this wasn't even my first choice. I'm dominant, and I didn't have to do this my whole career. Football was my first choice. I decided to come here because the money was better. Use it. And you can have some incredible feuds. Incredible. So what do you think about the Roman Reigns idea? Tell me in the comments. I want to thank everybody for taking time to listen to this show. I want to thank everybody who likes and subscribes and comments. And just know that we're going to continue to get better. We're going to continue to get bigger. And most of all, we're going to continue to be beast. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next Beast Week in Review.